Hello and welcome back. I'm Dennis with bestmytest.com, and today we're continuing our talk about the IELTS speaking test. Today's topic, photography. So I'm going to show you some vocabulary and things to say if you're asked a question about photography, such as, do you like taking pictures? Do you prefer to take the pictures yourself or to have somebody else take them? How do you take a photo, with a camera or a phone? Or do you want to learn photography? Let's get started. The first one is a verb, to snap pictures with my phone. And that to snap here means to do it very quickly. And we'll even say sometimes to snap a quick picture with my phone. So if you were asked, how do you take pictures with a camera or your phone, you might answer something like, well, I usually use my camera to take pictures, but if I'm in a rush, I might just snap a quick picture with my phone. Next one is photogenic, and this is an adjective. And we use this to describe somebody who takes good pictures. And I don't mean the person taking the picture, I mean the person in the picture, right? So somebody who looks good in a photo is photogenic. So if you were asked, do you want to learn photography? You might say, yeah, I really want to learn photography because I see so many photogenic people around me, and I really think that if I learned how to do it properly, I could take great pictures. The next is picturesque. Picturesque. Now here, before we go on with this one, I'm going to give you a little warning here. You want to be sure to say picturesque, right? And not picturesque. That's a very common mistake. I made that mistake as a native English speaker when I first saw this word back in the day. Made a total fool out of myself. So don't do that. So picturesque. And what is picturesque? And that just means when you see a scene or a person that would make the perfect photo. Something on a postcard, for example. So if you were asked, do you like taking photos? You might say, well, I don't usually like taking photos, but sometimes I see a picturesque village and I got to get out my phone and just start snapping quick pictures, for example. All right, next is avid photographer. Okay, so photographer, of course, is a person who takes pictures, a person who takes photos. And avid here is something that it means very passionate about. Avid means very passionate about. So you could be an avid photographer. You could also be an avid bird watcher. You could also be an avid Netflix consumer. You could be an avid almost anything. But here you put a noun like a person, a collector or bird watcher, that kind of thing. So if you're asked the question, do you want to learn photography? You might say, my uncle is an avid photographer and he is always out there getting into interesting situations, and it really inspires me to follow in his footsteps and learn how to take good pictures as well. All right, so this is kind of an interesting one, and it's kind of something that happens to a lot of people, and they don't know what to do about it. And it's probably happened to you if you've ever taken a picture on a sunny day. And that means to be always squinting when someone is taking pictures. And so squinting here, it means like when the eyes get real small, right? If we're standing in the full sun and we're taking pictures, we want to close our eyes. And here it's when someone is taking pictures of, and I say object. And what do I mean by object? I mean, well, you need to know what the subject is. If the subject is I am always squinting, then here you're going to put me. And if the question is he is always squinting, then here you're going to put him. So you need the object pronoun for whatever matches the subject. Now, funny story, about 3 weeks ago, my family got together and we actually went out to the park to do a photo shoot. And it was a full sunny day. And I got the pictures back and I was literally squinting in all the pictures. It was terrible. It was really terrible. Really not happy with that. Okay, moving on. Next one is to like to take selfies. Now, of course, a selfie is a photo that you take of yourself. And this is something, I have group here in parentheses because you can do this solo, or you can do it, you know, when you're out with your friends and to capture the moment, you might take a group selfie. Now, so to take a group selfie is a little bit different than to like to take a group selfie. There's a little bit of nuance there. So if you were asked the question, you know, do you prefer to take photos of yourself or to have other people take them of you? Well, you might say, you know, unless it's a really special occasion, I prefer to take photos of myself. I prefer to take selfies of me and my friends because I think that's just a really special way to make taking the photo a part of the moment itself. Okay, moving on. So next, to use filters when you're taking a photo, a picture with, that means with, your phone. Now here, the filters are the pre-programmed settings in your phone. It could be black and white, sepia, landscape, selfie. There's all different kinds of filters. You might give it a blue tint or could do a lot of different things with the phones that we have these days. So if you were asked, you know, do you like taking photos? You can say, well, I do actually like to take a lot of photos in most situations, but I really like to dig into my phone and use the filters that my phone has when taking pictures. I really find that to be an added layer of enjoyment on taking pictures. Okay, so now these last two are fundamental to taking a good picture. Fundamental. And then this one is to make sure the picture is in focus. Now, in focus, what does that mean? That means the subject, the primary subject of the photo is sharp and clear. I don't know about you, but I've gotten some photos back that I thought were good, but you know, I was all blurry or my kid was all blurry and you know, the tree that I didn't care about was in perfect focus. So make sure the picture is in focus. And if you were asked, you know, do you want to learn photography? You might say, I kind of want to learn photography, but I'm also a little intimidated about it because I have a real problem making sure the picture's in focus. Every time I take a picture, it just turns out really blurry and really bad, and people don't like it when I do that, for example. All right, last one is to pose. Now, so this is, you can take a picture and you can pose for the picture, and that's where you kind of get into your striking pose or whatever, and you pose for the picture. Now, you might pose, or you might, the photographer, or if it's you and you're taking a selfie, you might say strike a pose. And that just means to find a pose very quickly. To strike a pose means to find a pose very quickly. So you can pose for a photo, or you can kind of take a natural photo where maybe somebody's taking pictures of you playing with your kids or playing with your friends at the park or whatever, and it's not a posed photo. You're not posing for the photo. You're just going about your life naturally and normally. So those are some good words and good phrases to use to answer questions about photography. So let's put that into an IELTS context. If you were asked, do you like taking pictures? You could answer, I really like taking pictures. I really love to pose for photos. And I think it's really fun when the photographer tells us to strike a pose, strike a tiger pose, or strike an angry pose, something like that. I think it's a really fun way. My friend though, he won't have any of it. He will never take a posed photo. They've always got to be natural. Let's talk about a few more words about photography and cameras and phones. The first one is lens. Now every camera has to have a lens. It's the thing that the light goes through that allows you to take the picture. Now, we don't really talk about lens when we're talking about the phone, when we're taking a picture with a phone. And the reason we don't talk about it is because there's usually not anything we can do with it. Versus an older camera, or not even older, but like, I think it's called DSL cameras or DSR cameras. They're the big 35mm cameras, and those, they have detachable lenses that you can put off, and maybe one is a zoom lens, and zoom means that it can go out and see very far away. It can zoom out, it can see very far away, or it can zoom in, excuse me. So you might have a zoom lens that you take off and put on. But usually when you have a camera, the lens is one of the most expensive parts. So if you know a friend who's an avid photographer, I am sure that they are very protective of their lenses. And so even though a phone doesn't have a lens or like a removable lens, it does have zoom. Like you can zoom on your phone, 5 times, 10 times or whatnot. And that just means to zoom in, to get closer to something. The next is resolution. And resolution talks about the quality of the picture. So a high resolution photo is going to have less noise, less pixelation if you're using a digital camera, and you probably are. So there's going to be less pixels that are visible. And a lower resolution photo is going to look grainy. And that's a good word to use, grainy. A grainy photo is a photo where you can kind of see lots of dots, like grains of something. Okay, and so for example, if you were asked, do you prefer to use a phone or a camera, you might say something like, well, although a phone is really useful to use, I prefer my 35mm camera. And the main reason is because I have many lenses that I can use to take different kinds of pictures. And I have a zoom lens that can zoom 30 times and still take a high resolution picture. It's a great camera. All right, some more parts of a camera. So tripod. These are those 3-legged camera holders. And I say tripod because they are essential for taking a good picture. If you want to take any kind of family photo or something on your own, you're going to need a tripod. And these are really, really useful. They have extendable feet, so you can adjust the height. They have often a neck that you can roll up and down that'll extend the height a little bit more even. Great tool for even like a novice photographer. And the next is flash. And this is the light that goes off, that flashes when you take a picture at the same time. And that just adds a bit of light to make the picture look better, supposedly. I personally think most pictures with flash don't end up looking better. That's just my opinion. So if you were asked, what equipment do you have to have as an avid photographer, you might say, well, the lens is important, of course. That is the most important thing. But after that, it's got to be my tripod, because there's nothing like being able to take a stable, solid picture. And after that, if it's a little bit dark, I would have to bring my flash. All right, last one. This is kind of a fun bonus, and I hope you've done this because it's pretty fun to do it. And that's to photobomb somebody. And that means when you're in public, maybe you know them, maybe you don't, and you see people like getting together to take a photo, and you kind of come behind them, and you get in the picture, and you make a little funny face. Just light fun and games. And so if you were asked, do you like taking pictures, you'd be like, I don't really like taking pictures of myself or having pictures taken of me, but I absolutely love photobombing other people. I just think it's a fun way to kind of make things playful and fun. All right, that is IELTS speaking on photography. We talked a lot of different phrases about photography, taking pictures, liking photography, that kind of thing. For more IELTS speaking questions, please go to bestmytest.com, and I will see you in the next video.